downfall of this kingdom, America, which is called the daughter of Babylon in the Bible, and to teach you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you're the Lord's chosen people on your side, the 12 tribes of Israel. We want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kakadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone Camps for teaching us the truth of the Bible. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect scattered around the world. Shalom.
Shalom. So, when you talk about war, because war is going on right now. So, I got some scriptures ready on this. It's a very useful staff. It's a very useful app. It's called the My Sword KGB. So, and you see I have this one there. I was thinking about it all week. We're going to watch the video for the next day. So we're going to start with James 4:1. It's very simple. You know, it's time for war.
So this James 4:1. From whence come wars and fightings among you? Come they not hence, even of your lust that war in your members?
So there's war already up in your, you've been born with it. Now there's a whole bunch of scriptures that come to mind, but it's talking about how we war, like in Ephesians 6 and 12, how we're constantly in a state of battle. And last week was the end of Passover. And during that time, there was a war going on in the Ukraine. It was I don't even know why it's going on for, but it's that scripture, tells you that it's in your heart. Get it.
It's Ephesians 6:12. We are not.
That was a good one too. You should have got that one.
It was in the NLT, because some brothers, they go into NLT too.
That's good. We should go into all versions. Some brothers want to stick to the KGB. That's okay. But when you go into the different versions, like in your brain, you feel it. Like, oh shit, right?
Yeah, 'cause it says, we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world.
Dang. See how that one is crystal clear. You're gonna have to get it again because the devil doesn't want to. No.
So it says, for we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world.
Authorities of the unseen world. And these guys, they're behind the scenes doing underhanded things. Like Russia is providing gas, natural gas, and some petroleum, the other kind of gas, to Germany. Germany is one of their main consumers. And now with all these sanctions, the problem is how do you get payment? So what happens with the sanctions is they say, don't sell anything to Russia. And the reason why they do that is so that the dollar can devaluate. So the ruble's lost 40% of its value. And I've been watching the fucking news on that shit all week at work. They had us do a file review. So I just put that shit on the news, YouTube, put my headphones on, and listen like a virtual. But I did get stuff done. But that's how I learned about it. I said, you know what? This week's gonna be about prophecy. Because what happens go back to James 4:1. What happens with war? I mean, it's not just the word war. What do you think about in your head? What's going on to these people? So these people are starving. Look at the Russians are starving because their dollar is no good anymore. Their ruble, and they're not getting any food. They're not getting any anything. They're over here like with their holes in their pockets, hands in their pockets, talking about, hey, I wish I had some cheese. Because you see the videos on the YouTube and different news medias, they'll show you that Russian soldiers abandon their cars because they don't have any gas, and they'll show you a long convoy of freaking Russian vehicles, like 30 or 40 of them, and they're all abandoned because they don't have gas. They don't have food for their soldiers. And what's going on is, while the ruble is getting hurt, the Russian people are hurting too. And while the Russian people, it's hard to say who to believe in this news media. Everybody's got something to gain, but they say that the Russian people, they don't even the Russian people don't even watch the news. They're just told what to believe. They're just told what to believe. So they think that the war is, if they're winning, they think they're winning the war, but they're really losing.
This is James 4:1. What is causing the quarrels and fights among you? Don't they come from the evil desires at war within you?
See, and that will match up perfect with Ephesians 6 when you get it in the NLT. You can get it in King James, but it has to be explained explicitly now, because there's been so many languages used since King James 16:11 that it has to be told to you like this. So read it again, please.
It says, what is causing the quarrels and fights among you? Don't they come from the evil desires that war within you?
Yeah, and the evil desires are the lust for whatever you think is good. Whatever you're going for. People at work go for the high position, and then when they get to the high position, there's nowhere else to go. Whatever goals you have, they're not like these people that are having wars. Their goals are something else. You don't know what their goals are. So why does Esau, the devil, have wars, right? Consistent, constant war, because he has an evil lust. And then the bad part about that is, while the Ukrainian people are asking for help and calling the Western world and America cowards, people forget about what happened to the Mexicans, what happened to the Native Americans, what happened to the Salvadorians. All those histories haven't been erased. That's still part of war. And there's another war coming. So let's get Matthew 24:6. And there's another war coming. When those people are having wars, the soldiers are breaking into the houses. Men are breaking into the houses, killing husbands and raping wives, raping daughters. They're even raping sons. They're taking your food. It's just bad all around. So one of the things that you should be careful about is being circumspect. Circumspect means you look all the way around. So in war, if you're a soldier and you're just looking straight ahead, you can get got from behind, from the sides. But in this instance, it's your own lust, because this war is leading up to the World War III. Go ahead.
Matthew 24 and 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
So all these things have to happen. And the thing that people don't take into consideration is that people are losing their lives, their homes, they're not being educated. Just imagine if war was happening here in this country. Schools would stop, some businesses would close, they're cutting off roads. You can't get any food anymore from the grocery stores, from the big supermarkets. They'll start to lay you off. You know, things happen and there's situations, but this is all prophecy, because that's a prophecy. Now, there's been many wars since then, but the big war is the war in Armageddon, and we're going to get that one in Revelation 9, but not right now. Go to, did you get Matthew 24 and 6? Get 7.
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places.
So there's tons of earthquakes right now. So it's like the end of it. But nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. So a nation like Russia and Ukraine are rising up against each other, more like Russia rising up against Ukraine. But there's kingdoms in there that they're not talking about. Those people are still Nazis. They're Nazis over there. And there's reports and newspapers that say if like someone like us goes down there, there's going to be racism. You know, the Ukrainian people will call us niggers and wetbacks. So that's the thing, that they're asking for help from us, and they're getting money and they're getting weapons, and now they want people, so they want more. So Zechariah 14 and 2. And this one's a good one. I was reading that one, and it's like a lust. You know how you have lust? You know how, and women show it more than men. Like they'll have not such a lust, but they don't have filters. They'll start to tell you, like the women in the Ukraine right now, they're scared. They don't know what's gonna happen. You know, the men are scared. They say they're out there fighting, but they're not fighting the properly trained Russians. And then another thing is, people are getting raped over there, so nothing's held sacred anymore. So if you say, you know, this is my phone, it's sacred to me, and then a soldier comes up and takes it from you, you know, he's taking advantage of you because he has a weapon on him, and he has a tactical advantage. So if you, in your mind, you have to prepare yourself and be like, well, if I don't have as much burdens, what could be a burden on your mind? Having a girlfriend, having a wife, having children, having people other than yourself to take care of, that's going to hinder your possibility, your chances of survival. So people are leaving their families and they're like, man, I'm going to go on my own because it's hard. Get that in Zechariah, please.
Zechariah 14 and 2. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city.
See what happened? That's wartime. All those things happened, but our Lord, Yahweh Shai, is letting us know. And why is it coming to these people? Is because they're not following the law, the statutes, and commandments. They don't understand that they're actually showing love, wicked love, to Satan, to carnal Satan, which is Esau, Edom. Let's go to Exodus 15. And this will tell you why all these things are, well, it's not going to tell you, but I'll let you know. Because if you want to know, that's Deuteronomy 28. You know, that's why all these things are happening. Right? They want you to say, yeah, he died, but then they cut you off and they don't want to hear the rest of the conversation. The rest of the conversation is, he died as a man, but he came back as a God 3 days later. End of conversation. Okay, the problem is you don't understand and it's not for you. So let me explain what Yahweh. Yahweh is a man of war. The Lord is his name, the Lord Yahweh is his name, but that name was only given to these people for a shield. This will be your salvation right here, the names, you know, Yahweh, Bashim, Yahweh, those two names. In a time of crisis and war, let's say you have your girlfriend and it's looking bad. You know, you guys are starving. You hear nightmare stories about couples getting violated and raped by other groups of men. The Lord will give you such a spirit that you'll start making things happen to your enemies. You know, He'll give you the power to freeze their blood. You could take iron out of the blood, because iron is what keeps your blood warm. It's what makes your body temperature hot. So you'll be as a God. Oh yeah, we gotta take that too. Psalms 82. You'll be as a God in that day. So it'll be, I don't want to say a walk in the park, but it's going to be trying times. It's going to be a test. You guys, scripture you want to bring up? No? Can you get Revelation 12 and 3? But this new war is going to be with such high-tech equipment. See, right now they're not using high-tech equipment. They're using some high-tech equipment, like their javelins, but it's not really high-tech. Like the high-tech stuff is going to be in outer space. You're going to see bombs up in the clouds. Okay.
Revelation 12 and 7. There was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels.
See, so now there's a lot of things in that scripture. So Michael is the archangel, second in command after Yahushua. And you don't want to see him. You don't want to see him. Because the name Michael Allah means who's like God. You know, who's like thou. You know, he's a bad man of Jamin. And then the other angels, which is us and the other angels, we're all going to participate. Because why? Because it says Satan and his angels, the devil and his angels. So now let's go to Revelation 9 and 11. So are you following the Ukraine and Russia war?
I'm actually looking up on it, and it's supposedly that the war's ending. I don't know what to believe, you know?
Yeah, because, well, I think that it did end because they're talking about it, and Russia's ruble is down 40%, so it has 40% less buying power. And with all those sanctions, and now they're trying to get Germany to buy their oil and pay this in rubles. But Germany's like, man, yeah, and if Germany does that, then the United States will be like, what's up with that? You know, put sanctions on these guys. They're supposed to make them holler at you. So then Germany is like, you can pay in the euro. So if Russia wants to survive, it's looking crucial for them. They're gonna have to end the war, or step it up, launch the bombs. So they have a choice to make.
Yeah, but wars are too expensive.
Yes, because all the bombs they're doing and throwing off, they're destroying schools, they're destroying the hospitals. They have to pay for them. And the cheaper way to do it is to take over the country, and then you fix it yourself. So if they lose, they have to pay. If they win, they have to rebuild.
So there's no point.
War is expensive, and if you have control of the money, like the central banks do, banking families, you know, Rothschilds, the Oppenheimers, DuPonts, all kinds of douchebags. They got the power to lend these countries money and say, here, go, you can pay me back whenever you can, but rebuild the country. And then that'll be the way that they get entangled in the devil's snare. Got that?
Revelation 9 and 11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit.
So, okay, there's angels on the right-hand side, angels on the left-hand side. Okay?
Whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon.
Abaddon. So let me get that. Abaddon is the Greek, and that name. What? Read that again. What's his name?
His name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon.
So it means ruin, destruction, the place of destruction, the name of the angel prince of the infernal regions, the minister of death, and the author of havoc on the earth. And that guy was called Wilhelm Kaiser first. It was the Emperor Wilhelm Kaiser first. That was the emperor of Germany in like 1920. So the Hebrew origin is Abaddon, place of destruction, ruin, Abaddon. You know, and that name is perfectly fitting.
But in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
Apollyon. So let's look that up. Destroyer. The angel of the bottomless pit. The destroyer. See, and that's why you get into the applications like the Bible app and all that good stuff. And it breaks you down the words. I'll show you right now. So see how this, and then you push that button and it'll give you the Greek. And then you push that H11 and it'll give you the Hebrew. So this is the my Bible app store.
I have the new version of it.
Yeah. They're all good. You should use them. They'll make you smarter and it'll create that change. Get the whole scripture again. Because if you look stuff up, if you look about Wilhelm Kaiser first in World War I, there was a lot of that. And the United States had to step in. And that shit was like fucking blood. Like it says his name, Apollyon, and Destroyer, that's his name. So he was just destroying, he was destroying his own people. He was destroying everybody else too. Go ahead.
And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon. But in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
And this is where the next verse will tell you, confirm the rest.
One woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter.
Do you know what that one means? Okay, so it says, one woe is past, and we're going to look up the word woe. Alas, woe, primary exclamation of grief. So then we're going to look up woes, and it says the same thing. So now I'm going to use another application. It's called the online. I'll show you how it looks. Look for that one too. That'll get you the word. So we're going to look for that word woe. And you put in the word woe. And it'll search. And then it says woe from the interjection Old English wa, a common exclamation of lament. And basically goes into destruction. Woeful, afflicted with sorrow. And then all the other bad words, you know, like wail. So that first woe was passed, which means World War I, and two, there come two more hereafter. So that was World War I, World War II. Now we're waiting for World War III, and that's the last one we're going to be waiting for. And then after that, the Lord's going to come and save us. He'll save people you love, like your whole house. even though they might go against it, but they'll still say. I mean, let's get Revelation 9 and 17. But the thing is, you got to give in order to get. You got to make yourself a living sacrifice.
Revelation 9 and 17. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire, and a jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions.
So that's talking about the missiles. So I'm going to go into that one. It says, and thus I saw the horses, and how do you measure the power of your bike? Yeah, horsepower?
I measure my torque.
Torque? So, like some cars have, like I have a Challenger GT and it has 305 horsepower. That's a lot of horsepower. So, horse represents power because there's a saying, a warrior alone can do a lot, but a warrior on a horse can do what 1,000 warriors on foot can do. Because you're on a horse, you got that technical advantage, man. That gives you superior dominance. That's why in World War I they were using motorcycles. For the soldiers, I think the Army Rangers had them. And they would just cut across wherever they needed to go, get to a certain place fast. That's where bicycle gangs started. Because they all had that horsepower, that power. And then it says, so if my car has a lot of horsepower and I'm sitting in that seat, I'm controlling that horsepower, right? And then that sat on them having breastplates of fire and of jacinth. So let's look at fire. Fiery, shining like fire, and jacinth. Jacinth, the color of hyacinth, of a red color bordering on black. So that's kind of like charcoal, hot charcoal. It's hot. And let's get brimstone, sulfurous brimstone. So let's see, brimstone, divine incense, because burning brimstone was regarded as having power to purify. So these missiles are going to purify the wickedness of the earth. Let's see, the graph, and then the external outward appearance, form, figure, shape, like the form of fire. But it's also, the destructive nature of fire and the purification power of fire. And the heads of the horses were as heads of lions. So, the head of a horse was like the head of a lion. So that's trying to represent, a lion represents like power and royalty. So a lion can take down a horse, right? So a lion has more power. So here comes a horse delivering that head of a lion, and the lion has what? It has a bunch of teeth. Those teeth represent destruction, power, because in the name Yahushua, this word, Hashah, is teeth, destructive teeth. So the head of a lion has teeth. So it's talking about a nuclear missile. The one that delivers it is the horse, which is the tube, and it has fuel in it. And the warhead is the lion, because it has many warheads in it. One warhead can have up to 12 or even 24 multiple warheads. So that's a lot. And then let's see. And out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. So we already got the definition for all of those good things, bad things. So here we have a missile with destruction power to purify. So if this World War III gets cracking, it's going to be like it says right here, Revelation 9 and 18. By these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents and had heads, and with them they do hurt. So now it's flying like you see a dragon, like you've never seen a dragon, but a dragon would fly, right? The plumes of the missile would be like the tail of a dragon. So it's like what's his name? John Revelator. He's on the island of Patmos having these visions. He's looking at these things happen, and this is how he's explaining them to us. That's why it's so important to study and give more time to the Bible than to women and to everything else, so that you can have a clear understanding and know what's going on when you see those events happen. So, that was my lesson.
Notebook? Yeah.
A lot of people are like breaking their necks again. Like they're curious, they want to know. You got a pin, right? You got it.
So with that, I got a lesson about how right now in the last days, we should be focusing on teaching the truth, the truth of the Bible. And we can't have any distractions, and one distraction could be a woman, if a woman, if a woman is distracting you from teaching this Bible, then that means you have to separate yourself from her, because a woman, she's supposed to be a help, she's not supposed to be an argument, she's supposed to be a help. So first we can go to Sirach 25, 24. Because a woman is not what you think she is. She may look beautiful and all that, but inside her spirit is wickedness. Sirach 25 and 24.
Sirach 25 and 24, or Ecclesiasticus 25 and 24.
Write that down.
Yeah,
Write that verse down.
What's the verse?
Ecclesiasticus 25 and 24. Or the Ecclesiasticus means to call out or preach. So it's Sirach, Ecclesiasticus.
So how do you spell that?
So we got a new brother just taking down some notes. Because we got a lesson on how to deal with women.
25 and 24.
And what's the verse?
Verses Ecclesiastes 25 and 24. Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die.
So right there, that's strike one for the woman, because it said
Of the woman that
of the woman became.
We all die.
Yep. She's the first one that sinned, because the reason why she sinned is because she has a weak spirit. And Satan, she's the first one that he's going to go to, because Satan knows that the women are weak. And then read that verse above.
This is Ecclesiasticus 25 and 23. A wicked woman abateth the courage, maketh an heavy countenance and wounded heart. A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress maketh weak hands and feeble knees.
See?
Strike two.
So that's strike two. A woman, she's supposed to keep up your courage. She's supposed to comfort her husband. But whenever her husband's feeling down,
And the first thing these women will say to you, like I have conversations with a bunch of women, and I asked, and they were like, "What are you gonna do if you don't get your exemption?" Oh, like I'm gonna hustle, and I'm gonna do this and that, and then the women, first thing women says will be like, no, you know what? Don't do that. Everybody else is doing that. Even my wife did that.
Because it said a woman will not comfort her husband in distress, make it weak hands and feeble knees. That means she's not working with her hands. She's not making the food. You know, she's not cleaning up the laundry. You know.
Like if let's say if you have a mom and you have a wife, and your mom comes over and she looks at the dirty house and she says, man, this bitch don't do nothing. That's weak hands.
So you want to look for a woman who has strong hands and strong knees, who's able to pull her weight around.
Wait a minute.
You know. So
Let me get 24. Ecclesiastes 25 and 24. Of the woman came the beginning of sin.
the woman that
Beginning of sin. And through her we all die.
we all die. So a woman will get killed. You know.